Letty Ortiz is a vital player in the Fast franchise, but her story gets a little twisted along the way. From her early beginnings to the action superstar she is now, here's Lenny Ortiz's entire Fast and Furious timeline explained. Long before Letty Ortiz and Dominic Toretto were an unstoppable street racing and thieving team, they were childhood friends and neighbors in Los Angeles. A mutual interest in cars helped a mutual crush form, and by the time they were teenagers, the two were an inseparable couple in the street racing world. With street racing success also came small-scale heists with the help of Dom's sister, Mia. As Letty and Dom grow up, so do their ambitions, graduating from petty theft to high-speed highway robbery. And when we meet them in The Fast and the Furious, the duo and their crew, made up of longtime friends, have managed to spin up a pretty successful operation stealing DVD players off of highway-bound 18-wheelers. They're so successful, in fact, that an LAPD officer, Brian O'Connor, goes undercover to infiltrate their operation. Letty isn't immediately sold on Brian, but she's loyal to Dom, who forms a fast friendship with the undercover cop. In the meantime, Letty and Dom both regularly participate in Race Wars, a local and extremely unfortunately named street racing tournament, where victors can win piles of cash or even the pink slips to each other's cars. Letty is a top contender at Race Wars, and she frequently leaves her competitors in the dust. Eventually, though, all of Letty's plans come crashing down when Brian reveals his true identity and their criminal operation is exposed. Brian ultimately decides to let Dom go rather than arrest him, but his new status as a wanted criminal forces Dom to go on the run, leaving Letty behind. Letty spends the next 5 years searching for Dom and eventually manages to track him down in the Dominican Republic. Letty and Dom pick up right where they left off, both romantically and professionally, as she finds Dom in the middle of planning a new heist. It turns out that while hiding out in the Dominican Republic, Dom has become aware of a problem with the local fuel supply. Due to rising oil and gas prices, there's a serious fuel shortage among local towns, with prices sky high whenever people are lucky enough to find it. After a local policeman gives Dom a tip with details about an upcoming gasoline shipment, Dom decides to steal it in a Robin Hood-like endeavor. Letty throws her hat in the ring without hesitation, and she becomes an integral part of the plan. Furious 7 reveals that sometime shortly after their reunion in the Dominican Republic, Letty and Dom snuck off and got married in an intimate ceremony, with just the two of them and a priest. During the ceremony, revealed in flashbacks, Dom gives Letty his silver cross necklace, which he gives to Letty as a token of his love and commitment to her. As the priest wraps the chain of the cross around their joined hands, Dom tells Letty that they, quote, have eternity at that moment. In response, Letty promises him,
"You will never be alone again. I vow, wherever you go, I go. You ride, I ride. You fight, I fight."
Letty ends her vows by promising that if Dom ever dies on her, she'll die with him. So pretty much the most Fast and Furious wedding vows imaginable. In lieu of a honeymoon, the newly married Dom and Letty rejoin their crew to go execute the fuel heist. Letty has one of the more active roles in the plan, jumping from Dom's speeding car onto the back of the truck and breaking individual tankers off with liquid nitrogen. Unfortunately, the driver soon spots her and the whole plan goes quickly downhill from there. Although Letty manages to free a few of the tankers, she has to bail out onto the hood of Dom's car before the last one goes careening off a cliff, causing a massive explosion. While the crew still comes away from the heist with a hefty pile of cash, the incident draws the attention of law enforcement, putting pressure on the gang to quickly disperse. But even though Letty resolves to stick by Dom's side, he realizes that his fugitive status puts her at risk, and he sneaks away in the middle of the night, leaving her with a stack of cash and his cross necklace symbolizing their marriage. With Dom gone, Letty contacts Brian and begins working undercover on an operation to take down a drug lord, only to be seemingly killed in a car crash. Dom, Brian, and Mia all mourn her, but Fast and Furious 6 reveals that Letty didn't actually die. She was hospitalized with amnesia, which left her vulnerable to mercenary Owen Shaw, who was sent to kill Letty, but instead recruits her to his cause. Letty spends the next few years as part of Shaw's team, working as a precision driver and mercenary, taking whatever illegal jobs Shaw sees fit to assign her. Though her memory left her, Letty's skills never did, and that makes her a deadly asset to Shaw, and even a threat to her husband when they finally reconnect. Although she doesn't recognize any of them, Letty's adventures with Shaw eventually put her back in contact with Dom and her old crew. Having just learned that she's alive and not realizing Letty has amnesia, Dom attempts to speak to her, but she shoots him and flees, viewing him as the enemy. Repeated encounters with Dom intrigue Letty since he seems to know more about her than anyone else. But even though Dom tells her some stories about her past and gives the cross necklace back to her, Letty refuses to switch sides and remains loyal to Shaw. While Letty continues to assist her boss in his schemes, Shaw gets angry with her when she pushes back against his actions. Shaw is a villain through and through, while Letty's inherent goodness begins to come back out the more she thinks about Dom and his memories of her. This comes to a head when, while driving a stolen tank, Shaw sends Letty out of the vehicle to detach a cable, fully aware that he's likely going to end up killing her in the process right in front of Dom. To Shaw, Letty is expendable, and he's willing to get her killed solely to get under Dom's skin. Fortunately, Dom is able to save Letty in a dangerous gamble, catching her in midair just before she falls to her death. Later, when Shaw and his people are being arrested, Dom stands up for Letty, claiming her as one of his crew. After realizing that Dom was willing to sacrifice his life in order to save her, Letty decides to rejoin Dom's crew even though she still doesn't remember their life together completely. After defeating Shaw for good, Letty and Dom become romantically involved again, with Dom's current girlfriend, Elena, graciously stepping aside, and Dom agreeing to patiently wait for Letty to regain her memories. After spending some time together and competing again in race wars in the hopes of jogging her memory, Letty finally decides that it's too hard to be involved with someone who's known her for her whole life while she can't remember any of it. Although she understands Dom loves her, she can't bring herself to stay with him, knowing she's incapable of sharing the lifetime of memories he has of her. Until she can remember her past, she decides to break things off with Dom in the hope that she can rediscover her true self. Still, even though she and Dom have broken up, that doesn't mean she's left Dom's crew. She assists him in the rescue of elite hacker Ramsey in a ludicrous plan that involves, among other things, parachuting in cars out of a plane. Eventually, after completing their mission, Dom returns the cross necklace to Letty before heading off to take on Owen Shaw's brother, Deckard, who's made it his mission to eliminate every member of Dom's crew as revenge. When Dom is injured after defeating Deckard, Letty holds him in her lap, telling him that she finally remembers everything, including their marriage in the Dominican Republic. About 5 years after their wedding, Dom and Letty finally take their long-overdue honeymoon in Havana, where they relax, discuss the possibility of someday having a baby, and of course, eventually wind up in a high-stakes street race. However, unbeknownst to Letty, Dom is waylaid during their Havana trip by a cyber-terrorist named Cypher, who blackmails Dom into working for her and lying to his whole crew in the process. After leaving Havana, Dom and Letty head to Berlin to assist Luke Hobbs in stealing an EMP. As they drive off following the heist, Letty can tell something is bothering Dom, but when she asks him if he's okay, he just makes a vague reference to seeing her again.
You good?
I'll see you when it's done.
Moments later, Dom betrays the team, running Hobbs off the road and stealing the EMP for Cypher. Letty is shocked that Dom would go rogue, especially without telling her, and she spends time looking sadly at photos of the two of them together while the rest of the team tries to make sense of Dom's betrayal. Although the rest of the team sees no option but to accept that Dom isn't who they thought he was, Letty remains confident in his character, reminding Ramsey of the time that Dom saved her life. Even though she doesn't understand what he's doing, Letty is sure there's something more going on that will make sense of Dom's actions, even when the bad guys break into their base and Cypher kisses Dom right in front of Letty, despite Letty's pleas for Dom not to betray his family. Still, Letty has no choice but to work with the team to try to stop Dom and Cypher when they head to New York City to steal a nuclear football. While there, Letty manages to steal the briefcase with the nuclear codes inside, but she's chased down by Dom. Letty tells him that although she doesn't know why he's turned on her, she's sure he loves her and therefore won't shoot her. It turns out that her instincts are right. When one of Cypher's men threatens Letty moments later, Dom comes to her rescue, but he still takes the briefcase and returns to Cypher, leaving Letty heartbroken. Even after Dom's repeated betrayal, when Letty and the crew head to Russia to stop Dom and Cypher once and for all, Letty tells Hobbs that if he tries to kill Dom, he'll have to kill her as well. Letty's faith in her husband eventually pays off once Dom manages to get the upper hand on Cypher. It's revealed that Dom has an infant son that he didn't know about with Elena, who Cypher has been holding hostage in order to control him. She executes Elena to keep Dom in line, but he's able to turn the tables with the help of a rehabilitated Owen and Deckard Shaw, who sneak under Cypher's guard and rescue his son. As Letty and the team work to stop Cypher from stealing a nuclear submarine, Dom finally fights back, jumping into the battle in the nick of time. After saving the entire team, Dom pulls up alongside Letty's car and she gives him a relieved smile. Dom then manages to use his vehicle to drive a missile into Cypher's submarine, but he's caught in the path of the explosion. Right before he's enveloped by fire, Letty leads the crew in circling their cars around him, forming a protective barrier and saving his life. Once reunited, Dom reassures Letty that he never left her and he never will, something she knew deep down all along. Afterward, Dom and Letty return to New York with the rest of the crew, where Dom introduces her to his son, Brian. As they meet, Dom describes Letty by saying,
I want to introduce you to the most important person in my universe. One who'll never give up on me.
With Elena gone, Letty will be the only mother Brian knows, raising him with Dom as the three of them become a new family. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.